Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
Welcome to a celebration at the precipice of time, where the power of women knows no bounds. Experience her story unfolding, a reawakening of our collective consciousness to the monumental achievements of our foremothers, a tribute to the battles they fought, rights they've secured, and paths they've paved that women all over the world are continuing to navigate and expand upon. Her stories are unfolding, empowering growing, building legacies of pioneering women by sharing their stories, celebrating their accomplishments, and embracing the rights and privileges they've bestowed to us for generations to come.
Welcome to another day of Her Story unfolding as we honor women's legacy, past, present, and future. We are so excited because today we are honoring another woman who's creating a massive impact, touching lives all around the globe through a medium that we all are getting more familiar with, quite modern, but familiar with. So Alicia, how excited are you for the woman that we're honoring today? She's someone that you met, and I'm excited to hear from you and hear from her, really the amazing things that's happening in the world as a result of us women coming together.
Yes, thank you so much, Ava. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series, Her Story Unfolding. As you know, we're exploring how women are continuously making their mark in the world, who they're inspired by from the past, and the work that they're doing right now in the present, and the opportunities, the roads that they're opening for those in the future. We're celebrating women that are making a difference right now. They're being innovative, creative leaders, activists, truly making a difference in the world. And they're not just stopping here, they're figuring out how their impact will continuously create legacy moving forward. So it brings me immense joy to introduce our guest for today. Her name is Catryn Becker. She's an award-winning podcast host. She's an international Amazon bestseller, and she's been featured on Now Media television. Catryn Becker exemplifies how understanding communication can positively impact lives. They call her the people optimization specialist because she understands how to leverage the power of words through her coaching and her programs to identify individuals' limiting beliefs, help them position and articulate what it is that they do, and really release any self-sabotaging patterns that they have so they can continue to be successful. She has multiple degrees in engineering and business. She's certified in Feng Shui, which is really a way to subconsciously release what is stored within you. And she sits really at the intersection of strategic thinking and intuitive feeling. I want to say that again. She sits at the intersection of strategic thinking and intuitive feeling. Her empathetic nature and her positive outlook creates a safe space for the clients that she works with, for true healing to take place and transformation to take place. So super delighted to bring out our guest for today, Catryn Becker.
Welcome, Katherine. I'm going to say that with the right way. I heard it. That's Katherine, right?
Correct.
That's so awesome. So, Alicia, thank you for the amazing, wonderful introduction that really massively has expanded my knowledge of who Katherine is. So, Katherine, we are excited. Thank you for being in the Los Angeles Tribune, her story unfolding today. And we are honored. We are honored to have you on the show. We are honored to be able to present you to our audiences today. And I'm excited. Your story is definitely exciting, from engineering to Feng Shui to, coaching. I'm just excited for the interview that you and Alicia are doing and how you made that shift. It's powerful how women are discovering, who we are and what our passions are outside of what we thought we were going to do in the beginning. And I think hearing your bio from Alicia, I'm excited to see how that journey was for you. So,
Absolutely.
Alicia always says, we'd love to introduce our guests, but we also wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. Tell us more about yourself. Tell us what makes you come alive. What's your passion? And really, what's exciting that's going on for you right now?
Oh, well, there's so much that's exciting because it's so exciting to be alive. We get to have this incredible journey and opportunity and meet amazing people, like meeting Alicia last night, which was so wonderful. And we met because I was willing to let go of any insecurities that I had, to put myself in the rooms where I'm meant to be. And so that's something that really excites me, is helping women to understand that there's more that's meant for them than maybe the small role that we've been traditionally given. We think about just 70 years ago, our mothers and grandmothers didn't even have their own credit card. They didn't have control of their own money. So we've come so far, and there's still so much more to go. But I love to work on projects where I can help people be better at who they were meant to be. Love when I can help save people money, and I love when I can help the environment. So when I can have hit one of those three things, and sometimes when I can hit all three, that's what really lights me up and really gets me going in the morning.
That's amazing. And I love that what you said about time and transformation and the journey that women have gone through. We were at the Women's Hollywood Club, such a historic space, a safe space, a haven for women that was dedicated to education, to literacy, to skill building. And it is such a critical space. I know that you work with women and you work on a lot of these skill sets, education, literacy, and empowerment. You had a career 20 years in corporate. How did you navigate to the coaching work that you're doing right now?
Well, it's an interesting story because so much I think of, and I think this is typical of a lot of people. I've interviewed many people on the podcast and just meeting people in general. But for me, our path was kind of set out, right? Like when you're a kid, you're just put in kindergarten. You don't have a choice. You go through elementary school, then you're just put into middle school, and there's no choice, and you just do it. Then you go to high school. And I was always taught that I will go to college. So there was never any point in my thinking back then that there was any other options for me. So it was step, then we go to corporate, and we work at a corporate organization for many years, maybe get a pension. I think those have gone the wayside now. I've never actually had a pension, but that was kind of the old school thinking at the time. And then you work and work until you retire at 55, and then you go relax. And so I had that thought process until I reached it was around the age of 35 where I started to kind of feel like maybe there was something more. And so I started exploring things outside of work and finding hobbies that really lit me up. And I went into environmental engineering because I always had a desire to make the world a better place and to help make it better for everyone. And I just happened to choose the environment as the way that I went in there. I loved animals. I loved the ocean. I grew up where the soda can, you've got to cut all the things open, and recycling and all of that. So I was really influenced by that and wanting to make a difference. But it got to a point where I couldn't feel the difference that I was making. I was so far removed, rising up the corporate ladder, that I wasn't actually feeling and seeing tangible results. So I started finding ways to do it on the side and to really improve people's lives. And then COVID happened. And COVID was that crystallization moment. I think a lot of people have felt that, where it was really that pause to sit and look around and be like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I going to leave? What legacy am I leaving behind? What am I showing for my children? What am I, demonstrating for them? And that's really when I was able to find the confidence, the inner confidence to take the leap and say, okay, there's a lot more that I can offer people, because I'd spent years learning all these other techniques that I was trying to heal myself. Really, I thought I was trying to help other people, but what I was actually doing was helping myself by finding all of these different components, all of these different things. And so then when I realized, the engineering background of me, of seeing how things work together and how to optimize things and to make things better, it was like I could see from like a 30-foot view of this beautiful mosaic that I had created. And I thought, wow, I could save other women. Surely I'm not the only one going through this. And I could save other women a whole lot of time by being able to put this together and offer such a beautiful solution. And maybe it'll help others. And guess what? It has. And then it's expanded from there, because it's all about evolution. It's all about growth. It's all about continuing to move forward and to rise and to fill the space that we're meant to fill.
Yes, to filling the space that we are meant to fill. It's remarkable how there's so much to unpack there, but how you kind of went through your own journey, your healing journey, and realized in going through your own personal experience, wow, how can I help and support the women around me? And then still taking that engineering aspect. When you hear a word like optimization, you're like, oh, okay. Placement, efficiency, how do systems work together? How can they work better together, right? And then thinking about how you actually apply that to life. You've also studied and practiced Feng Shui. How did you bring that kind of aspect of Feng Shui energy type of work into the experience of your own healing journey? And then how did that then reflect out and manifest in some of the coaching that you do?
Well, I had the opportunity to study under Marie Diamond. She was the featured Feng Shui master in The Secret. And the way that she explained Feng Shui just clicked with me. So the way that she explains it is, if you have 100% of luck that you were given in your lifetime, a third of that, 33%, is going to be the luck that you create for yourself. It's the actions you take. It's the decisions you make. You create your own luck in your own economy. Then you have another third, 33%, that is divine. It is universe, it is God, it is fate, it is whatever word resonates best with you. But it's the pattern, the tapestry that is created for you, and that's part of your own luck. But that leaves another third that's not been accounted for, and that's the earth luck. And when you think about Feng Shui, meaning wind, water, it's about, if you planted a seed in a place where it's never going to grow, it's never going to grow. But if you find the right place on the earth where you can really tap into that earth energy, that earth luck, it's going to flourish. And so thinking of that as a concept of where we're putting ourselves in our spaces, and how we're maybe have clutter in our home that's maybe in an energy center for us, really was kind of an awakening for me. And I love, again, with the engineering background, thinking of energy in that kind of space and how it's flowing all around us, because we know there's magnetic forces. We know there's gravity forces. We know that there's the quantum entanglement that ties us all together. So of course, it makes sense to me that there's going to be places and things of ways that we can improve our spaces to also improve our mind. I mean, people have heard the phrase, a cluttered desk is a cluttered mind. And that's just another way to look at Feng Shui. And so that's one of the techniques that I have picked up along the way, that thought, what a simple difference. And what I love about all of these techniques that I've collected is that each person is individual. We are all so completely wonderfully unique that to create a one-size-fits-all program doesn't work for me. It doesn't work who I feel and how I feel about other people. So I was able to take all of these different aspects and say, okay, what's right for this person as a place to start isn't going to be the right place for another person to start. But sometimes just having the Feng Shui piece and being like, okay, these are your success areas. Let's just focus on working in that area. And that's the right step for some people, because not everyone's ready for the big steps.
It's amazing what you said there, because it's very critical what you said. You're meeting people exactly where they're at. It's not just a prescriptive program where it's this is what we do, but it's really figuring out where they're at in their life, in their journey, in their professional life, and then creating a targeted plan that helps support the key areas that they need and support. When you work with some of your clients and they've never heard of feng shui or energy work, what is that conversation like? And kind of how does that sometimes flow? Obviously, every person is different, but how do you kind of introduce some of these concepts into the work that you do?
We have this conversation a lot because not everyone is familiar with it. And I do bring in faith and spirituality, which is another sort of discussion point because not everyone is at the same place. But even when I describe feng shui the way that I just described to you, that resonates with the clients that I work with, and they're willing to give it a try. And then once we find out what their 4 success energy directions are, because we have an overall success energy direction, a health direction, a relationship direction, and a wisdom direction. So if you break it up into 8 sections, 4 of those are going to be areas that are really supportive to you. So when we find out their direction and then we look at different areas in their home, so maybe they want to be focused more on career. So then we focus on the success part of their direction. And we look at the different places in the rooms they spend the most time, the office, the bedroom, the living room, and say, what's in those spaces? And sometimes I had one client who was kind of on the fence about this. And as we were looking at it, she goes, oh my gosh, in my relationship corner, that's the doom corner of my living room. What is the doom corner?
What is
like,
the doom corner?
Place, right? She's just like, I just got this place where I didn't know where to put stuff. So I started putting a little bit there. And then it just built up and built up and built up. And now it's just like this area that she can't even look at. And it's like, well, maybe that's why your relationship is in a place that you're not super happy with. So let's focus on reducing the doom corner. And that's brought a lot of great things to her. The other part where I really work a lot with people is in the subconscious and really being able to release the things that are in the subconscious. And so I like to talk about, people talk about triggers all the time. And I like to think of them as landmines. And so they're just these landmines placed within our subconscious. And we don't even know they're there until someone says something to trigger them, right?
Yeah.
So the work I'm doing is helping people to find the landmines. Sometimes it's after they've been triggered, but a lot of times it's before they've ever been triggered. And we can actually remove them from the subconscious. So the next time someone says something that normally would have gotten under your skin, you're kind of like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't even bother you. So when I'm talking to people about the subconscious, how I usually describe that is I ask them if they've ever had the experience of driving home and getting in your driveway and being like, how did I get here? I don't actually remember doing this. I was on stage a couple of years ago where I said this to a room of over 1,000 people, and every single hand went up that they've had that experience. And that's our subconscious at work. There's so much that's happening that we're not consciously aware of. So that really helps people to kind of understand that, hey, there may be more that's going on that I'm not aware of, and they're more interested to learn more.
That's powerful. I've definitely been on cruise control. Like, oh, that was a quick drive, right? And it wasn't that quick, but your mind was just on autopilot going forward. And what are some of the releases that you see when you work with individuals mixing their environment, what they might have, how the energy might be flowing into their home, thinking about their relationships, but then how that pours back into their working life? Know that you do a lot of coaching in their working life and how they show up at work. And so what are some of those connection points that individuals can be aware of and kind of now bring that into the consciousness as they are doing their everyday at work?
So the reason I call myself a people optimization specialist is because putting on the mantle of life coach never quite fit right for me, because people only think of that in terms of their personal life. And business coach didn't quite fit me either, because when people think of business coach, they're thinking of a lot of like processes to, it's very tactile, it's very transactional, it's not so much transformational. So again, I'm teaching people to find rooms that fit them, neither of those titles fit me. So I made up my own. I made up my own that fit me in a way that makes me proud to say it out loud instead of being like, oh, I'm a life coach. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I see so much, there's more that I'm doing, and it just wasn't right for me. And so I love teaching people to find what's right for them. And the truth of the matter is, we generally spend more time at work than we do at home, especially now with our devices. You know, we're constantly accessible. We're constantly getting emails. So much of us have to do or get to do social media to promote ourselves. And so it's this constant thing. And so there's such a thin barrier between work and personal life. So I love to be able to serve people where they're at. And what I was finding is that, you know, just like I said, how I work with people at different levels wherever they are, I have also found after working with over 250 successful women that not everyone is for me. And I'm not for them, that they're not always the right client, because some people aren't ready to let go of what they need to let go of. And it's not serving their time. So I've gotten to be pretty picky with who I person can understand, because it's no good if we're speaking to someone and they can't receive it. It's just wasted on the floor. So I love to be able to teach people to do that. But the other part that I love getting to do is helping people to see their value. I think so many of us have issues with self-worth and not feeling valued enough. I do it too. Even just coming to the event last night, I had a moment where I was like, oh gosh, who am I to come to this event? Like, what am I doing? You know, imposter syndrome shows up. But that's the moment where we say, no, I've grown past this. And I had a blast last night. But to get back to the value part, it's about helping employees to find clarity in what it is that they do beyond just their job title. So often we only describe ourselves by our job title, and we are so much more than that. So I help the employees within the organization able to identify what it is, the value that they're bringing. Who are they serving and how are they serving them? It's really, really powerful, and it helps to build ownership within the employees so that they feel a sense of being part of something rather than just coming there to get a paycheck.
Yeah, that they feel a part of something rather than going there to get a paycheck. That clarity part is really, really important. Can you dive a little bit further into what that means in terms of helping individuals find clarity and what it is that they do beyond their job title? It's really important.
Yeah, what I hear is purpose, finding purpose, right?
A huge part of that is finding purpose, and then being able to, because we kind of like feel our purpose, but that doesn't mean that we can actually communicate. So one of the individuals I had on the podcast is a global credibility expert. His name is Mitchell Levy, and he's actually just a little bit north of you guys in Cupertino, but he was an incredible guest, and we ended up forming a relationship and been working together since then. And as he starts with credibility, he's actually learned there's a step further back, and that's finding the clarity. He's interviewed over 1,000 different thought leaders on credibility and realized most of them could not say what they do in 60 seconds. They don't have one sentence where they can actually communicate who they serve and how they serve them. So we've been working together on being able to do that and helping others to do that. And so I'm taking that to the corporate space instead of working with coaches and entrepreneurs, which is who Mitchell typically works with. So I'm taking those same learnings and then applying them in a different way, because just because you're not an entrepreneur, which not everyone is cut out to be one, not everyone is meant to be that, that doesn't mean you shouldn't still be able to have clarity. And once you have the clarity, then the credibility comes, because you're building confidence as you get this clarity. When you get to deploy clarity out into the world, it starts to build confidence, and that's what builds your credibility. And once you have those three things, then you get clients, which is wonderful and something that we all want. But we usually focus on finding clients first before we actually have the clarity and the credibility. And then once you get clients, you form a community. And then the beautiful thing is this cycle gets to happen again. And it's not looking at it, like if you look at it straight down, it just looks like a circle. When in reality, it's a spiral. And it's a spiral upwards. Because every time you complete a loop, you are slightly better than you were before. And you have a little bit more clarity, and you complete the cycle again. And then you have more clarity and more credibility and more clients and more community. And that's how we change the world.
I love that. I want to coin those like
love that.
the 5 C's, really the 4 C's, but Catherine, which is the 5th C there, right? But it's profound, right? Because clarity builds credibility, builds clients, and then I love that 4th factor that you added in there, builds community. And it continuously builds on itself. And that clarity piece is so key. You might spend hours at work each and every day, right? But the ability to distill what it is that you do into 60 seconds, into 90 seconds is key. It is so important and is so credible. So happy for you for that. So I love that you have the 5 C's. I love that. It's so important. It is so clear to me how you find so much joy in what it is that you do, but also the impact that it has, because that is for your internal stakeholders, your partners, right? Your customers. It's all connected. And the more clarity you can have in what it is that you do and that messaging, that's how you connect, right? And you need to connect with everyone that is part of your working ecosystem to actually make impact. So those words matter. I guess another C to add in there would be clear or communication, right? Because that is the way that you actually do connect with all of those individuals. So I love that that's what you do in your work and that you bring that into the corporate space. What is some of the reactions that you get with some of the clients that you work with? After they've gone through their program? Is it like an aha moment, like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this all this time, I didn't even realize that what it is that I do boils down into maybe 3 keywords or 5 keywords? What is that experience like for you?
It's exactly what you said. It's these aha moments. And you can kind of see them on their face. Like usually when I'm speaking, there's kind of this moment of just like recognition and understanding, because it's exactly what we were talking about earlier about finding purpose. And so many people are seeking purpose. And so to be able to communicate that clearly is like, this is what I've been searching for. You know, they kind of sit up a little bit taller, they walk a little prouder. It just generally elevates their entire frequency on being able to find that. And it's been something that I've seen in my clients as well on the individual side. Some miraculous things have occurred with the work that we're doing and then bringing in the clarity and the purpose. And it just crystallizes everything. So another C word for you. We should have like a counter of how many C words we've had.
Absolutely. So, Catryn, just for review, because I feel like it's so powerful, go over the 5 C's again. It might turn into 7.
Yeah,
go over the 5.
So it starts with clarity, and clarity builds confidence, which then leads to credibility, which leads you to clients, that then builds a community. And all of that is facilitated with communication.
That is so good. So clarity leads to confidence. That's so powerful. And so
I just wanted to add in that people love to say, fake it till you make it. And I feel like that's such a dangerous phrase for us to have in our mind, because we know that we're faking it. It doesn't feel real. And so it's never going to actually manifest, because we have that internal cognitive dissonance between what we think we want and how we feel that we want. But by getting that clarity, you're not faking it. You know it.
Right.
And then you can really make it.
Absolutely. And that's something that in the Los Angeles Tribune, as we write in our digital news, highlights of experts, is one thing that we really have honed into is bringing to the present the vision of the future.
Mm.
We given the ideal client, calling forth that ideal client, the perfect client who really would be in the calls, who diligently will follow your guidance, who will do all the work, be a hard worker. What are the results that you will create? And we bring that to existence by speaking it now, in the now, even as it is being manifested in the future. It's it and my biggest revelation of that and acceptance of that is, um how they say be, do, which is an
Mhm.
act, and then have. Like, we get to come
Mm.
from a place of being, being in that future self, being in that future manifestation, not faking it, but bringing it to today. So I love the clarity that you bring, because when you can, when you can get clear, you can get powerful. And I love that your clarity leads to confidence. And I could almost reverse engineer this, right? Like, if you're not confident quite yet, get back to clarity,
That's
right?
a good
If
point.
you're not
Yes.
getting clients, where do you get back to? Do you get back to confidence? Do you get back to clarity? You could almost reverse engineer it with your 5 Gs. Or if you're not comfortable building a community, you have a client, but hey, amen, like me, we've got clients, but we don't have a Facebook group that's active right now. I feel like, I can't sustain a community, or I don't have, the capacity to sustain a community or to nurture a community. So I can engineer it backwards and say, okay, so, what is it that you're not confident about? What is it that you're not clear about? And, with that, do you need more support? Do you need to, um, outsource? Do you need to, increase another staff for that? Like, you get clarity when you can
Hmm.
backtrack, right? Like, you could backtrack from why you don't build community, why you're not creating clients, why you're not confident. Like, so I'm just really excited about this formula that you've put together. So, um
And I just must say, I've got it. It's with Mitchell Levy. It's not just mine. It's something we've co-created together. So I must make sure I give him proper acknowledgement there.
I love that. I love that. I love when we give credit to whom credit is due. So, in Catherine, we can talk to you for a very very long time, but I wanted to honor your commitments, and with that, let me bring back Alicia on stage. Alicia, how excited are you with everything that we're hearing from Catherine right now?
I love it. I love that the C's are continuously evolving. But clarity into confidence. And sometimes we think about what is confidence, and it's very easy to not be confident when you're not clear about what is going on. Because how can I be grounded in something I don't understand? So that clarity part is really huge. Something I know that you think about often, something I think about a lot too, is remembrance. And I would love to hear in your own word what remembrance means to you and why it's so important in the work that you do, but in our everyday lives of who we are.
Ah, yes. I am in the season of remembrance. I'm a lifelong learner. As you mentioned in the intro, I've got multiple advanced degrees, many certifications and things. I'm always seeking to learn and grow and expand. And I reached a point at the end of 2022 where I felt spirit speak to me and be like, you know enough. Now is time to remember. And it kind of hit me like, whew, what? No, surely the answers are outside. I have to just, if I keep looking, I will find them. But I really took that to heart and sat down and really evaluated who I am and learning to love the pieces of myself that I was ashamed of, that or things that I did or didn't do that I regretted, and actually shining the light on those darker places revealed so much to me about my own journey. And it was a great place of, we all come here as these beautiful shining souls. I love to think about, when we see a pregnant woman and we describe her as glowing, why does something glow? It's an inner light. So this soul that she's carrying is this inner light, and it's shining out through her. And yet life gets hard, and we get dirty, and we get covered up, and our light gets hidden, but it's still in there. And so this remembering is about dismantling these pieces of other people's thoughts, other people's expectations, obligations, all that crud that we carry around. And when you take it out, you can reshine your light. And when you can shine your light for others, they can see it, they can recognize it. You can be that lighthouse in the storm for them. So that's what remembering means to me.
Well, how beautiful, Katherine. And, I feel like this is the perfect transition, in remembering. I would like to argue with Her Story Unfolding Legacy Award. And that award is the Pursuit of Personal Excellence Award by the Los Angeles Tribune. And Katherine, this recognition is bestowed upon a woman who elevates others through empowering what is within them and helping them bring all of their excellence out of them and creating clarity and self-connection in all facets of their life. We honor you. We want to congratulate you for the impact that you're creating in the world, that and the unimaginable ripples of effects, with every life that you touch that gets transformed, that goes upward in that spiral that you're describing. They create more ripples in their lives, within their family, within their workplace, within their community, who also create ripple effects. Like it's all an upward spiral that you create in the world because of who you are, because of how you show up, because of how you walk into rooms when you feel like, you're second guessing yourself, because of how you make decisions, even when you're not completely confident and you're questioning, because of the choices that you're making. And we want to honor you today, Katherine. And I feel like you're the perfect example, representation of, we don't have to be fully confident to take action, to change lives, to make an impact. And so I wanted to give you the stage, for you to receive the award and say, what does this mean to you, and what's coming up for you as you heard what we've chosen, for you.
I'm so honored. That was so unexpected. And so I just feel this well of gratitude coming up. And sometimes that comes up in tears. I love tears, actually. I'm not ever ashamed of them. Water can create the Grand Canyon. So I think, what are our tears removing for us? And I welcome them. And so any little bits of me that are still scared and shy and unsure and feel unworthy can be released through a tear. And I think it's so beautiful, all the people that are in this world, and that we get to meet and we get to connect with and we get to learn and grow from. And gosh, life is so good. And thank you so very much.
Well, Katherine, I feel like you just gave us the perfect close, that, every bit of uncertainty, insecurity can be released through a tear. And as women, you know, it's a superpower to accept how we feel when we're not confident, we're unsure, we're insecure, and moving through it. And I believe, Katherine, one of the things that is very powerful, like you went to a room, right, last night, surrounded by other women, surrounded by people who empower you, who believe in you. Um, as we close, tell us more about that, and tell us more how that serves you to be in communities versus, in being alone with your thoughts, right?
I get so inspired. I get so inspired by other people. And I think that being able to put ourselves in situations where we're inspired are so very important. And, something that I'll leave the listeners with, that I so encourage you to do, is to spend time looking at yourself in the mirror. And instead of doing what most women do, which is pick out all the flaws of like, oh, I don't like this, da, 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 da. We pick out all the things we don't like. Is to sit and pick out all the things you do like. I've been able to get to the place where I can look in the mirror and I just smile at myself And I'm like looking at my inner child, and I'm looking at my future self. I'm looking at all of them and just saying, I love you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for everything. And that's what builds confidence as well, is part of just that short practice of being able to do that, and being vulnerable. I was there last night with the two women that were hosting the red carpet. They are gorgeous. They are beautiful. They are toned. They are fit. We're all different body sizes. And there's times where I look at them and be like, oh, it'd be nice if I had their body, but I don't. I have my body. And I have to learn to love it. And I shared that with them, and they were blown away because they were like, well, we were intimidated by you for X, Y, and Z reasons. So we all show up with all of these things in our head, but then we don't feel secure enough to be vulnerable to share them. And so much healing can come by bringing those insecurities into the light, because in the dark they can thrive, but in the light they just seem like, oh, why was I worried about that? That was so silly.
In the dark, they can thrive, but in the light, they're silly. And it just goes back to remembrance of all that you are from the inside out. Because you are amazing, you are unique, you are enough. And Catryn, it's so inspiring, the work that you do, the coaching that you do, but how you also show the realness of yourself, how you also meet yourself where you're at, and that you can feel that authentically flow through you, and that experience has to resonate with those that you interact with on the other side, because we feel it here too, and we appreciate you for all of the work that you're doing and your ability to help the individuals that you work with, speak with, those that you're connecting with through this broadcast right now, to understand how it's all connected, right? Our life, the way our things are set up in the spaces that we occupy, right? How we think about the work that it is that we do, how we use our words to communicate what we do. It's all connected. But at the same time, if we can go within, there's so much embedded within us that if we just take the time to silence the noise, to allow ourselves to feel and remember who we are on the inside, so much else can just transform from the outside. So it's been an immense joy, a pleasure to have you on with us today, Katherine. It's been wonderful. We thank you for sharing your story as part of our Her Story Unfolding series. To those of you tuning in, we ask you to remember the 5 C's, to remember all that you are within from the inside out, and then to connect with others with clarity so that your confidence can build no matter where it's at in any moment that you're at. So thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you tuning in, continue to follow Katherine and all of the wonderful work that she is doing. And remember that today you are tuning into Her Story Unfolding, where we are elevating women, remembering their stories, and helping to create community where we all can learn and truly grow from each other.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Katherine. We just honor you. And to our audience, thank you for staying with us for this whole episode of Her Story Unfolding.
Welcome to a celebration. Welcome to a